The summer sun hung high above the Montana mountains, pouring bright light across the dusty wagon road that wound through pine forests and rocky valleys. Freight wagons rumbled toward the booming mining towns, each pulled by powerful teams of horses. Among them rode 40-year-old ranch owner Ethan Brooks, a respected cowboy known for delivering supplies through some of the most dangerous trails in the territory. Ethan believed he had seen every kind of hardship the frontier could offer, until one afternoon, he spotted a lone covered wagon, sitting crooked beside the road. One wheel had broken completely, and beside it stood a young widow in a faded, gray prairie dress with rolled-up sleeves, her dark hair tied beneath a weathered brown hat. A little boy slept peacefully inside the wagon while the woman struggled alone to lift the heavy axle. Most travelers had simply passed without stopping. Ethan climbed down from his horse and walked over. "Need a hand?" he asked. The woman smiled politely but kept working. "I usually manage." Ethan helped lift the wagon, while she quickly replaced the support block with surprising confidence. "You've repaired wagons before?" he asked. "More than I ever wanted to," she replied. She introduced herself as Sarah Collins. Her husband had died during a winter fever, leaving her with nothing except her son, a team of draft horses, and a small freight wagon. She had been hauling supplies between towns ever since just to survive. Ethan admired her determination, but noticed the horses. "Those are fine Percherons," he said. Sarah gently patted the lead horse's neck. "My husband taught me everything about driving them." Ethan smiled. "Can you drive a full freight team?" Sarah looked at him with quiet confidence. "Can I?" she asked. Ethan nodded. "I've got 6 wagons waiting in Pine Ridge. 2 of my drivers quit yesterday after hearing about bandits on the mountain pass. I need someone who knows horses." Sarah hesitated. Around them, a few passing cowboys laughed openly. One shook his head. "A woman driving a freight team?" Another added. "She tipped the wagon before sunset." Sarah heard every word but said nothing. Ethan ignored them. "The job pays well," he said. "Only if you believe I can do it," Sarah answered. Ethan looked at her steady hands, the repaired wagon, and the calm way her horses obeyed every quiet command. "I don't care what people think," he replied. "I care what I see." The next morning Sarah arrived at Pine Ridge Freight Yard. Nearly 20 seasoned cowboys stopped working when they saw her walking toward the massive 8-horse freight wagon. Whispering spread through the yard. Some laughed, others simply shook their heads. Foreman Bill Dawson crossed his arms. "You're telling me she's replacing Jake?" Ethan answered calmly. "That's right." Bill looked Sarah up and down. "That wagon weighs 6 tons loaded." Sarah climbed into the driver's seat without replying. She gathered the leather reins in her gloved hands, gave one calm whistle, and spoke softly to the horses. "Step up." To everyone's surprise, all 8 horses moved together as smoothly as if they had worked beside her for years. The heavy wagon rolled forward without a jerk, without confusion, and without a single shouted command. The laughter stopped instantly. Ethan watched with a quiet smile, but hidden near the freight office, another man watched with very different eyes. His name was Victor Kane, owner of the rival freight company. If Sarah succeeded, Ethan's business would become the largest in Montana. Victor quietly smiled to himself. "Let's see how long she lasts on Devil's Pass." He had already sent men ahead to make sure the journey would become far more dangerous than anyone expected. The convoy left Pine Ridge before sunrise, its 6 massive freight wagons creaking beneath thousands of pounds of supplies bound for the mining camps beyond Devil's Pass. A cool mountain breeze swept through the valley as Sarah Collins sat confidently atop the lead wagon, the leather reins resting firmly in her gloved hands. Ethan Brooks rode alongside on horseback, occasionally glancing at the widow everyone had doubted only a day earlier. Behind them, several experienced cowboys exchanged uncertain looks. None of them admitted it aloud, but Sarah handled the powerful 8-horse team with remarkable skill. She never shouted, never cracked the whip unnecessarily, and never fought the horses. Instead, she guided them with calm commands and steady hands. Ethan couldn't help but smile. "Your husband taught you well," he said. Sarah nodded gently. "He always said horses trust confidence, not fear." By midday, the convoy reached the narrow entrance to Devil's Pass, Towering cliffs rose on both sides, leaving barely enough room for the wagons to pass. Suddenly, Sarah noticed fresh rocks scattered across the trail. She pulled back on the reins. "Stop," she called. The horses halted instantly. One of the cowboys frowned. "Why are we stopping?" Sarah pointed toward the cliff above. Tiny stones continued rolling down the slope. Ethan looked up just in time to see several large boulders crashing toward the road. "Move," someone shouted. Sarah reacted without hesitation. She turned her team sharply onto a safer section of the trail, calling each horse by command. The rest of the convoy followed her lead. Just seconds before enormous rocks smashed into the road where they had been standing. Dust filled the air. The frightened horses reared, but Sarah's calm voice settled them almost immediately. Ethan stared in amazement. "You saved every wagon." Before anyone could recover, masked bandits emerged from behind the rocks with rifles raised. Their leader laughed. "Leave the freight and ride away." The cowboys reached for their weapons, but Sarah noticed something the others missed. The frightened horses were beginning to panic. If gunfire erupted, the teams could stampede straight over the cliff. "Don't shoot," she shouted. Ethan trusted her instantly. Sarah quickly snapped the reins and guided her 8-horse team directly toward the bandits. The powerful draft horses thundered forward together, kicking up clouds of dust. Startled by the charging team, the bandits scattered in every direction. Their horses bolted, and several rifles fell into the dirt. Ethan and the other cowboys rode forward, quickly capturing the fleeing outlaws without firing a single shot. Sheriff Dawson, who had been following with a supply patrol, arrived moments later and arrested the entire gang. One deputy shook his head in disbelief. "I've never seen anyone drive a freight team like that." By the time the convoy reached the mining town that evening, word of Sarah's courage had spread ahead of them. Hundreds of miners and merchants gathered to welcome the wagons. Even the cowboys who had laughed at her removed their hats respectfully. Foreman Bill Dawson stepped forward with a broad grin. "Ma'am," he said, "I've driven freight for 30 years, and today you outdrove every cowboy here." The crowd burst into applause. Ethan looked at Sarah proudly. "I asked if you could drive a team." Sarah smiled warmly. Turns out they were asking the wrong question. Ethan laughed. "What should I have asked?" She looked across the busy freight yard where hardworking men and women unloaded the safely delivered cargo. "You should have asked whether I was ready for an opportunity." A few weeks later, Ethan offered Sarah something far more valuable than another freight job. He invited her to become an equal partner in Brooks Freight Company. Together they expanded routes across Montana, hired honest workers regardless of their background, and built one of the most respected freight businesses in the territory. The little boy who had once slept inside a broken wagon grew up watching his mother earn respect through courage, wisdom, and hard work. Travelers crossing Montana often told the same remarkable story around campfires. They spoke of the widow everyone underestimated, the woman who faced danger without fear, and the day she outdrove every cowboy on Devil's Pass. Her story became a reminder that true strength is measured not by appearances, but by character, determination, and the courage to seize an opportunity when it finally arrives. The end. If you enjoyed this Old West story, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another heartwarming cowboy adventure. Your support helps bring more unforgettable frontier stories to life.